All right, so we are recording. What is up, ladies and gents? It is Austin.
And Jacob.
We are here with the Living Raw podcast. We're out here today. Our intention here is to kind of finish out our stories. I gave my story, and Jacob gave his, and we'll be discussing now the business, what we do, where we come from, where we're going, and I guess kind of the credibility behind having a business podcast.
The Big Dipper Dough story.
The Big Dipper Dough story. So, should I start this one off, Jacob?
Just kick it off right from the beginning. Leave out no detail.
Definitely. So, as you guys heard, born and raised in Northern Michigan, blah, blah, blah. You guys can go back to the other episode if you want to kind of hear my whole story. I jump right into it. In the fall of 2014, I graduated high school about a year before, and it was realized that it's time to really start, getting my life in gear. I was working at the fire department at the time, and felt I was doing well for myself, but there was a lot from life. And I just kind of recognized it was a very pivotal point to really start ramping things up instead of say coasting or letting things start to ramp off. The fall of that year, I was reading books, listening to podcasts, starting to really get into the whole self development, looking to prove myself, and I signed up for my very first marathon. Right now, at the time, it was a pretty crazy thing, because I had never run a marathon in my entire life. I never run more than probably 3 miles in my entire life. I was never a runner. I did cross country in like 7th grade, like it was like never anything I did of any significant. Yeah, exactly. Totally qualifies. So yeah, I'm like, you know what, screw it. Like it's time to do something. What scares me is marathon. I'm like, people do it. So I totally can. I'm young. Like if I couldn't, I'm a pussy, right? So like, I totally can. Like it's time to do it. So signed up the fall of that year for the Bayshore, which was in May of 2015. Probably about a month and a half in, I'm working out really hard every night. At the time, one of my really good friends, he was training. He was about to join the Coast Guard, and he was going to be a rescue swimmer. Is what he was going for initially, and so he was training really hard, just to be fit, be really good shape. So him and I were working out together. We're lifting heavy, we're running hard, we're pushing each other. I mean, we were both, looking good, we're eating good, like the whole 9 yards, and life is good. Said in the spring of 2015, after 2-3 months of training for this year marathon, I've always liked ice cream as like sugar, and I really started having cravings, sugar cravings. I don't know why. I guess I do, just in terms of like having like sugar and things like that. But I started really to crave cookie dough, and I don't know what the hell. Ivan is always like something's good, something tasty. There's never anything that was
fucking weird.
Yeah, above the top or whatever. So yeah, you know what? Like whatever. You're like, yeah, cookie dough sounds good, but it didn't tempt myself. And after a couple of days of like craving this cookie dough, ultimately the idea came to my head. I don't know what first spurred it, but of a safe to eat raw cookie dough, right? Of a cookie dough that I'm supposed to eat it. So if we were, say make a product that you could eat raw without the risk of getting sick. And, as mentioned, I think the last story, both my dad and my grandpa were both in business. My dad has his own shop. My grandpa worked a day job his whole life, but he also had two side businesses to see how he did. So I don't know if it was like the whole shoes to fill thing or if it was just in the blood or what it was. But I always knew I want to start a company. And I wasn't really sure what the hell I wanted to do. The last couple of years before this and even to date, any ideas I have, I've always written down, because it's so easy to come into your head, go out of your head. So whether that was for a product, for a service, whatever else. And so I got this idea for this edible cookie dough and wrote it down. And a few more months go by, and I think I made some. I think I ate some cookie dough, whatever else. A few more months go by, and this is about April of 2015. At the time, I was still 19, still training for this marathon, but I was starting to get a fire in my ass, because I was seeing all the growth I had done for the marathon and realizing, how great I could be, right, of how much potential I had left on the table so far and how much it would be possible to leave on the table. And so I knew I wanted to start a company. I kept pushing it off because I wasn't experienced. I hadn't gone to school and this and that. And finally it was like put my foot down and it was like, I'm 19. I've got some money in the bank. Like it's time to either shit or get off the pot. It was time to take action, make some moves. So I started going through all my ideas, and I had 160 plus. Started going through all the different ideas I had, looking at the cost to get into, the competition, the size of the market, the ease of scaling. Say a cookie dough business versus SpaceX or whatever else. It seemed like a not easy per se, but it seemed like a easier business and something that was very technical. It seemed like something that would be fun to do. Like sweets, like sugar. We make product, make people happy. It just seemed like a good business, and
Not
so
too shabby.
yeah. And I
Do you ever do me a
started.
favor?
Yeah.
Look at the webcam.
Look at the webcam.
Yeah,
Okay.
there it is. Greet all the beautiful people's eyes. Let them see your face.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I guess I'm just looking at myself talk.
I know,
Um,
100%. I'm guilty of it too. It's fucking hard.
definitely.
Struggles of
So
God.
yeah, I decided to start the cookie dough business, and I spent from April to September of that year just A/B testing, different flour, sugars, vanillas. Through those 5 month that 5 month period, I probably made over 250 batches of cookie dough.
A
And
lot
I
of fuck.
was Yeah, a lot of cookie dough. I was giving out, to friends, families, neighbors, coworkers, a ton of different people. Like, I give you an A and a B sample? I knew what the difference was. You wouldn't just a sheet and say, hey, fill this out. Tell me what you like, more sweet or sugary or whatever it was. And about 250 batches later, A/B testing, we ended up launching the company in September of 2015. I had started community college up in northern Michigan, and right now we're talking, it's really January of 2019. If you had talked to me 4 years ago, 5 years ago, my goal in life was I was in the fire department. I was working part time, kind of working up to full time as a firefighter EMT. My goal is to become full time in the fire service. So kind of that path is you get your fire license, you get EMT, and then you become a paramedic. And then from there you get hired by your own department, or maybe move to a larger city and work maybe Grand Rapids or Detroit or wherever. Wasn't necessarily sure what the next move was. So I started community college up in northern Michigan, just to get my paramedic license. First class, first night, I met a guy named Dan Fuller. And at the time, we were both working 2 full-time jobs. He was working at Hollister, I believe it was, and working for his own business, cutting down trees and things. And I was working in the fire department, working my day job, fixing appliances. And we're both working 2 full-time jobs. We're going to night school full-time, and we're paying for it ourselves. And he was the only kid I knew that was doing that. My friends, or anybody in the class, whoever else. There's definitely struck me as a hard worker, good workout, a very unique person. And I told him what I was about. He told me he was all about, and told him about the cookie dough. And at the time, I didn't know the guy. I'd never met him before. But, he told me, he said, if I'm ever looking for a partner, whatever else, to please let him know that he'd love to join. And over the next couple of weeks, I keep working on the business. I know he tells a story. He talks about, I would come in smelling like smoke sometimes because of fires. I know, like, one time I had a structure fire. I got done and I went to work. I was going to school and I still like soot. I didn't realize I had like soot like under my eye and stuff, and like I smelled just like they had like a really like house fire smelled like a really bad campfire. And it smelled like a really bad campfire. And
There's a scumbag rolling into night school, covered in dirt, smells like smoke. Like, hey, try this cookie dough I got going on. That's
basically, that's what it was all about, and so Dan, he's a unique character too, so he was drawn to me, and after a few weeks of him talking, I was starting to launch the business, and I realized just how hard everything was. I was going to be, because I need a partner, and so Dan and I sat down one night, we kind of roughed up, we did a rough contract, and from there things took off. This was like end of September 2015. And we spent the next month and a half, 2 months getting everything squared away. We had to go from my mom's kitchen to a real facility because we couldn't make product and sell in the stores from my mom's kitchen. So we found
you got tired of all her shit being covered in flour and stuff in the oven.
Yeah, I got my very first couple batches like commercially may have been made out of there, but real low key. From there we transitioned over just to we found a bakery. Later made birthday cakes. Yeah, yes, exactly. FDA is coming for you, knock on the door. So we made she made me like birthday cakes, things like that. We started making a product there, and had to get certified by the Department of Agriculture, and all the, the tax forms, and sales tax, all that kind of stuff. And from there, just time to start selling our products. We had our container picked out. Our graphic designer made our first rendition of our packaging. We didn't have enough money at the time to print our packaging outright. We had to, apply like paper labels to it. And yeah, sky was the limit. So I started just pitching, started presenting to some local grocery stores. There's maybe 10 stores in northern Michigan there. And the very first one that picked us up, Olson's. Olson's on North Fallen Lake Road. It's about a mile and a half from my house. Dropped them all off, gave them the plug, gave them the pitch, all that kind of stuff. And I come back 2-3 days later, talk to Alan, the dairy manager. He is the plug. And, told him what I was about. And I come back a couple of days later, and he's like, Austin, he's like, it's good stuff, love the stuff. He's like, bring some in. He said was, bring me some more, right? Is what he said, bring me some more. And so I'm like, oh, yeah, awesome, like, you need some more samples, bring home to his wife, whatever else. So like, I run home, the next day, come back with, a couple more samples of cookie dough and drop it off. And Alan's like, Austin is like, I can't sell this. Like, I need more than 2 more to sell on the shelf, And like my jaw, like, I was like, oh, like, absolutely, like, totally misunderstood. Like my jaw hit the freaking floor because we just made our very first sale, and it was for like $100. Like it wasn't for shit, but it was our very first sales. We would actually be on the shelves in a grocery store. And so, yeah, I reached out to, I called my mom, like I called my girlfriend at the time, I called Daniel, just told everybody the news. We just made our very first sale and how exciting things were. This was like early December of 2015, so just before Christmas, a good time of the year for cookie dough. And so for the next month or so, Dan and I pretty much every day, we would set up shop inside Olson's after we're done with our day jobs, and have a little sample table, and we just sample out products. Pretty much my name's Austin, cookie dough, 2 flavors, local company, blah blah blah. Firefighter on business, handing out samples, and things went well. I've been doing all the samplings. We did really well in that first store, and they were a 2-store chain. So we ended up picking up a second store. Come the very end of December, the very first part of January, both Olson's there in town. From there we had a local 5-store chain, Tom's Food Markets, that then picked us up. So that was 7 stores, and we had another.
Now.
What's that?
It's a big ballin' then.
Big ballin', yeah. We're in 7 stores, and I say all like the big local grocery stores like everybody knew about, And yeah, from there 7 stores, and we had a local distributor then pick us up because we're trying to get a little more volume. So then they helped us go from 7 stores to maybe 30. And there was a lot of nights spent on the road in terms of, knocking doors and stamping out to new customers and trying to make sales. And we usually end up, had some friends like at MSU, so usually end up at MSU, partying their faces off or whatever else. And then off the next morning to go sell more cookie dough. I know there was one period where Dan and I were up for 4 days straight. Like we just straight up didn't sleep. We drank like 40 or 50 Red Bulls, like an absurd amount of Red Bull. And we're out there, we're driving all over Michigan, we're pitching our products. We're having to drive home like 4 hours a night to make enough product to sample out the next day. Like it was just like an absurd couple of months that looking back now, it's just like a blur, probably from sleep deprivation and caffeine overdose and whatever else you want to call it, And we then eventually progressed into the business continued to grow. We eventually progressed into a shared bakery, or like a shared. There's like a bakery, but it's like a workspace designed for small food businesses, as opposed to just like leasing space from like a lady who had extra space in her kitchen. It was like a space specifically designed for small food businesses that was based in our distributor's headquarters at Cherry Capital Foods up in Traverse City. And yeah, man, it's there was numerous different events and demos and different things like that. When was it? The next year in 2016, we launched a second business as well, which was a food truck business. And so we made liquid nitrogen ice cream. We did that at the local food truck lot, in different events and festivals, and that really kind of took up a lot of our time. And over
Yeah, Little Fleet.
yes, Little Fleet, and yeah, Little Fleet is an awesome little spot in northern Michigan there. And over the next year, we kind of got distracted a bit by that and by doing Dipper, and things kind of, we weren't making a ton of progress in either which one. And then in the spring of 2017, Dan and myself kind of made the decision to, each kind of focus specifically on the one business. So, Dan took nitrology, I took Big Dipper, and and from there it started to grow. So we ended up being on the road quite a bit, pitching to a lot of higher-end gourmet grocery stores based out of Metro Detroit, the Detroit area. And we had 4 or 5 that wanted to close us. And unbeknownst to us, we were doing some great marketing, because we were presented to these higher moving, higher volume stores that then came back to a much larger Detroit-based distributor that said, "Hey, we want to carry these guys' products. Will you carry it for us?" And so, unbeknownst to us, we're doing the right thing. And I ended up getting an email from one of our distributors, one of our current distributors based in Metro Detroit, that basically said, "Hey, we've been hearing about you guys, heard from a lot of different stores, that you guys are doing well, and all about it, and want to support Michigan companies, and come on down." So, we presented to them, and ultimately closed them, and that was like our first big order. Up to date, we had been making individual cases, case here, case there, whatever else. But when this customer first ordered, they ordered a full pallet of each flavor. So that amounted to being 200 cases of both our chocolate chip as well as our monster cookie. At the time, we had never, ever made something new that big. It was
over, for everybody watching at home, that's 2,400 pints of cookie dough.
Yes, it's 1,200. 1,200.
So is a half pallet each?
No, a pallet's 1,200 pints.
Yeah. So is a pallet of each.
Oh, yeah. I got it.
Hey, we can do math now. 2,400 pints, people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2,400 pints of cookie dough. Yeah, 1,200 for each flavor. And, we didn't know much about ordering products and things like that. And we ended up having to, we had to ship the product out Thursday morning. And all of our supplies didn't come in until Tuesday afternoon. So for the very first big order, Daniel and Devin and my sister Natalie, and Katie, one of our ex-employees, and her whole family, and a number of people all chipped in. We banged it out. We got it done. We ended up working straight continuously from 3 p.m. or so on Tuesday until about 3 a.m. on Thursday. We had Katie and her family were more or less the day shift, and then the rest of us were kind of like the night owls, and so it was a long night of shotgun and Red Bulls and Monsters and lots of caffeine pills and pre-workout, and having a damn good time, a lot of fun. And we worked for 36 hours straight to make enough product to properly sell it. Once we did that, then that really opened up our doors, and this new distributor helped us last year go from 70 stores to well over 700. We closed, large accounts like Fresh Time and like Myers, Kroger's in Michigan, a number of different accounts. And we saw a tremendous uptake in business. Now, we made plenty of mistakes along the way. We almost gone out of business 4 times now. It came within a couple of weeks of going out of business. And this was one of those times, as things would start to ramp up and continue to grow, and the growth trend was just showing astronomical. They started hiring more people, started definitely way overhired in terms of what was actually needed, and started really burning through cash reserves, and we decided to go to our own facility because we're this huge company now, and we built out this own facility, which was dope. It was fun, it was a trip, and it was great to help us grow from, but wasted a lot of capital, burned a lot of capital, and almost went out of business, but didn't. Made it through kind of as we've done every time to date. Came out the other side swinging, and coming into 2018, 2018 was a weird year, I would say. I don't know. I don't know the best way to describe it. And Jacob and I were talking, off the
Yeah,
record
yeah.
about
So
it.
best way to describe it, at least from what we kind of discerned, is there's so much going on. There's an endless amount of growth, and it was basically if you could think like Austin talks about that one marathon. If you hiked for 3 weeks and you're like, oh shit, just got through the Appalachian Trail. This is going to be insane. And you're looking to come out on the other side of the entire mountain range, and you end up right back where you fucking started. Pretty much is the best way I could think of describing. You don't know how the hell you got turned around at some point in time, but so it goes.
It's such is life. Yeah, 100%, 100%. And yeah, 2018 was a bit of a year. It was a bit of a it was a weird year. I don't really know how to best describe it myself. I had to go back to work in my day job. Almost got went on business last time just to keep myself cash flow positive and keep myself afloat and invest money back in the business. And I don't know. I mean, I was definitely taken off the prize. Plus, just unfortunately numerous issues which we can't dive into too much detail about now, just due to
We'll find out.
certain reasons. But yes, in the future we will definitely dive in more detail about. But yes, just different issues going on that really helped impede our growth by not being able to sell product and having product on hand and inventory and just different things like that. So
if you could assume a problem that we were to have, like everything across the board, we probably hit, I'd say 7 out of 10. And there's probably 2 of them that I can't even imagine what they are. So we were on it. We were on it and doing it.
we were
fucking up and doing it fast.
Yeah, it was, but at the same time, yeah, the lessons we've learned over this last year have been we can't forget them because it won't do us any good. But the lessons we've learned and the skills we've developed and yeah, I mean all the mistakes we made, all the pain and trial that we've had with this last year will be instrumental in what's to come. A mentor of mine, Andy Frisella, he talks about you pay to go to school, right? I mean, it costs money to get an education. So whether that money is through costly, dollar mistakes, whether that money is through an education, whatever it is, it's what it's all about. And Tony Robbins as well said the life happens for you, not to you. And would much rather these problems happen now when we're doing, mid 6 figures and we're doing 7, 8, 9 figures a year. It's much rather the mistake happen now at 10 grand than a mistake happen a couple of years at 10 million. So yes, this last year was a lot of lessons learned, and we still grew from 700 stores to about 1,100, continue to refine our processes and have really set ourselves up for it's going to be a damn good year. We closed some a couple really big accounts last year that we launched with this year, which will cause the revenue to 10x. Grant Cardone.
Just got that book in the mail today. Actually, talk about some fucking irony there.
Yeah, it's going to cause the revenue to 10x. A lot of the things we laid the groundwork for last year we'll be reaping the seeds this upcoming year, and we're going to see tremendous growth. I know there's a lot of people sleeping on us right now, sleeping on the Dipper team. Because we're out here. Yeah,
for good reason. We put them to sleep.
Yeah, so. Good reasons. We have a couple young kids, but yeah, it's going to be a damn good year, and that's about all I really got to say for the moment. I mean, a big part of this podcast would be discussion of the actual lessons learned, and I'm a big believer in actionable steps. Listen to a lot of people, read a lot of books, and a lot of them, some, not all by any means, but a lot of them talk in the more macro details and things like that. But I'm a big believer in the actionable steps and the specific lessons learned, and if we can share a lesson that we learned specifically, like what we thought at the time, the decision we made, and then what happened at the end of why it was right or wrong, that hopefully can help other people, very, tangibly at a very granular level, navigate through the same issues, the same mistakes. So there'll be plenty more to come. Some things we can discuss now, some things we won't be able to discuss for a few months or so. Wow. But yes, that's the business to date. Jacob, things to add?
Yeah, definitely. So Austin hit it right on the head, right? We spent I can kind of catch everybody up on last year. We spent a lot of last year growing some really awesome distributors, huge footprint, got really, really excited about being more, being bigger, being better. Lots of shiny stuff, right? Something, I don't remember where the hell it came from. We had a long talk about it. and a lot of long talks in 2018, which means something was definitely up. We just didn't really know it for 12 months. But yeah, it's been good. It's been good. We launched a crazy amount in some new local food stores, new regional, national, grocery stores, things the like. We launched some food service. You find some Big Dipper at your ice cream parlors. Shout out to Lori's Lick 'em Up, killing it. A few others. We're working on growing that. We tried going a little bit more in depth into a couple other different verticals that we'll probably talk about in the future, and planted on them, decided to pivot, but it's been good. So basically what happened in 2018, what it seems like, is all the different possibilities were presented at the same damn time. And we tried to hit every single one of them at the same time and did a pretty rough job at almost all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's a very noisy year.
Yeah, it's a really good, really, really, really good way to put it. There's so much going on. I'm just kind of spinning in circles.
Mm-hmm. A lot of pretty opportunities, but we definitely spread ourselves too thin, tried to do too much too quick, and was overworked, under prioritized, made rash decisions, made poor decisions, and that cost us, but we learned.
So it was good. We lived to see another day.
Yes.
You get to live to see another podcast, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to clutter it up too much at the end. We could probably close it out here and hit next week and actually get started on the meat and potatoes. How's that sound?
It sounds damn good to me. Jacob, any idea what we want to discuss next week? Or will we roll into the podcast with we're on the podcast open. My thoughts, and just so everybody knows, I mean, this is and it's going to be refined and improved over time as we both get better at talking and editing and laying out a better format. But want to keep
it pretty. Look at the camera too. I've been staring at myself this whole time.
Yeah, it's hard though. You want to make I don't know. It's
hella hard.
This by no means intends to be a highly polished podcast. Hopefully we're not doing this out of ego. I don't think we are. I think there's Jake and I talking this last year. It was painful as fuck. It was so painful. There's a lot of bad things that happened in both of our lives. It's personal. There's a lot of things that happened, both good and bad, lessons learned. And I don't necessarily think that they're unique or uncommon, but I don't think everybody's talking about it. I just think that there's a lot of lessons we've learned in business as well as in life that a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know. And perhaps it's a different way to look at things. And so, just kind of viewing it, in terms of part of giving back just by sharing what we know. And perhaps you're wrong. Perhaps you guys can chime in and say, hey, this is how I handle this, or this is how I do this, or this is a mistake I made, and this is a lesson I learned. But we're all together, and if we learn a lot from books and podcasts on people's mistakes and what they discuss, and if we can, share, even help one person navigate through prevent a nasty issue from occurring prior to it because you've already experienced it, then it's totally worth it. And for me, Jacob, with it still being the first part of the year, what I was thinking of on the train right over here was to discuss in terms of the task we've done before. We're effectively writing out our obituary, kind of writing out the 30,000 foot view and then breaking it down to the tangible steps. And both from a personal level, and then because I've also been kind of doing my own weekly pulse meeting with myself with my yearly goals, with my yearly quarterly rocks for Austin. So I'd love to discuss that more because it's the first part of the year, and that was a time for really goal setting. And end of the year, first part of the year, and first part of every quarter is just such a good time on the calendars to readjust and reevaluate where you're at personally as well as your business. Make sure you're on track to hit the goals you want to hit.
100%. I would agree. So all you lovely people, you get to go through the joy of listening to both of our obituaries next week.
Hell yeah.
Stay tuned.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate y'all. Keep it raw. Keep it real.
Till next week.